Hey there, it's Marianne from Thrive Admin Services. In this video, I've got a really quick demonstration of a way that you can use formulas or functions in Excel using both divide and multiply in order to extract some data into other cells in your worksheet. It's a way to only have to input data once and have it automatically calculate percentages and totals for you. In the example I'm using, it's to help you with some finance information, but you can use it for lots of different examples, but finance is obviously the easy one because we're always trying to juggle that money. So in this one, I am working in Microsoft Excel on the desktop in a Mac, but the formulas and functions that I talk about and the examples that I show are perfectly translatable into PC or your tablet or handheld device, and we'll work on the web version as well. So let's get stuck in. So it's Marianne Tansley from Thrive Admin Services, and here's a really quick way for you to autofill content in an Excel spreadsheet so that you only need to populate data in one section and it will calculate things for you automatically. We're using the formulas or functions here. So I'm using, as an example, I'm using an income tracking book that I'm setting up for the new financial year. And to make sure that I've got it working properly, I'm creating my month-to-date running totals. So what I want to do is be able to put the total amount that I've put in for, or that I've invoiced for the month or been paid for the month. And I want it to calculate for me my GST, then how much income is left, how much I put towards super, which is 10%, 30% that I put aside for PAYG tax. I allow myself a 5% profit, 25% towards my operating expenses to pay my bills, and the balance, the 30%, is my salary. So basically what we've got is, you can see in the section down here, when I put the amount in here, so if I say this is $1,000, you can see it's automatically allocating things. And I wanted to show you how that works. So what we've done is we've set up a series of formulas that are using the one piece of data we input as a point of truth and then creating some calculations from it. So the first thing we do is, when I put my total in here, I'm going to make it 1100 because we're dealing with GST on this one. So there's a 10% GST. It just makes all these numbers easy. So when I click on this cell, you can see that the formula in here is a simple division. So what it's doing is it's saying take whatever is in this cell and divide it by 11. So with GST, it's like a VAT or a tax on top. So my invoice is $1,000 and then there's GST. And in this particular example, I don't want to make the GST portion included in how I'm divvying up the money that I'm keeping from the invoice. That 10% or that $100 on top is for the government and I don't get to keep that. So this one, we divide it by 11 to start with. So we go D2 divided by 11, and it's giving me that that's $100, which we know is correct because it's 1,000 plus 10%, which is the Australian current GST calculation, 10% GST at the time of recording. So then this column, which is my income, what it's doing is it's telling me that what I've done here, you can see, is I've asked it to say this amount, my total invoice amount, less this amount equals what I want in this cell. So you can see nice and cleanly, we've got 1100 is the total. The GST portion is 100, which means the actual income or revenue is 1000. And then we're replicating that process again over here. So what I'm doing this time is I'm dealing with percentages. So I'm saying of this income amount, I want to put aside 10% towards my superannuation payments, which I make personally. So in this instance, you can see the sum we're doing is this cell amount, which is a point of truth for all of these. So from this total, give me 0.1 or 10%. So it's this cell times 0.1, which gives me my 100. Here, it's this cell, this income cell, times 0.3, which gives me 30%. Here, it's times 0.05. Here, it's times 0.25 or 25. And here it's 0.3 or 30%. So if I was to highlight all of these cells, you can see I've highlighted them all. You can see down here, my sum is 1,000. So they all add up to this total because it's 10%, 30%, 5%, 25%, and 30%. So it's 100% of the total. Now, once you've got your formulas working and are all set up correctly here, you can then drag these down. So by dragging them down and extracting them this way, what it's going to do is allow me to make sure that it's using the same formula every time. So likewise, if I now put in here 1,000, and see the numbers are slightly different because it's taking that extra amount off the top first. So the income amount I'm working with is slightly less, and then it's calculating them. If I now change this one, oh no, my mistake, that should be 1,100 as well. We're getting the same results. And this time it's pulling from F4, and here it's pulling from D4. So it's pulling from the current line. Now, in addition to that, if I wanted to change any of these, if I decided in July, I'm actually not going to put aside the 5% profit. So I'm just going to delete that. Now, if I put 1,100 in here again, my totals don't add up. It's only 950 because that 5% hasn't been accounted for anywhere else. So I would then need to make a change somewhere else. And I might say, okay, well, I'm going to put 30% into my operating expenses because in July my bills are a little higher. And so I can just change that to 0.3. Like that. Sorry, I must have got a typo there. And now if I highlight these, you'll see it now adds up to 1,000. Obviously my title would need to change if I was doing that regularly. But what I'll do is I'll just go back. We can pull it up this way as well. And if I now make that 1,100 again, you'll see that this is all correct. So it's a formula in each cell. So you just need to reference the cell you want to use as your point of truth, and then you can calculate your percentages from there. So there you have it. It's a function or a formula or a tool that you can use in lots of different scenarios. It's a brilliant way to be able to break down that, in this example, to be able to break down that financial data so that all you need to do is preset those percentages and decide what you want that breakdown to be. And then you can start filling the data in and it will populate for you automatically. Now, the example I've used is just in that running total section, but you can use that line on line and continue to drag it down. Another tip is that when you're working in Excel and you're doing this over and over and you're repeating these processes and the formulas are working every line, sometimes Excel will start to understand that you want that to happen on the next line and the next line as well. Sometimes you'll need to drag those formulas down. So if you have any questions and you found that interesting, then don't forget to get in touch with me. You can pop a comment on the video, or you can get in touch with me directly. You'll find me hanging out on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. Just search for Thrive Admin Services. Cheers.